In this video, we're going to look briefly at the question of punctuation, or lack thereof, in ancient Greek manuscripts of the Greek New Testament. This is a specialized field of study, so I'll make no attempt to be comprehensive. We only scratch the surface of this topic. The four main sources I have used for creating this video are: Source 1, Encountering the Manuscripts by Philip Comfort; Source 2, Manuscripts of the Greek Bible, 2nd edition, by Bruce Metzger; Source 3, The Text of the New Testament, also by Bruce Metzger; Source 4, Introduction to the United Bible Society's Greek New Testament, Section 4, The Discourse Segmentation Apparatus, 5th Revised Edition. Editions of the United Bible Society's Greek New Testament prior to the 4th Revised Edition contained a punctuation apparatus appearing below the textual apparatus. This apparatus pointed out differences in punctuation utilized in different Greek editions and in some modern translations. The punctuation apparatus has now been completely reworked and renamed as the Discourse Segmentation Apparatus. This change stems from the results of modern research in the field of discourse analysis, which is beyond the scope of this video. The new apparatus appearing in the 4th and 5th editions highlights differences in paragraph and section divisions in different Greek texts and some modern translations, rather than simple differences in punctuation at the clause and sentence levels as stated in the introduction to the 5th Revised Edition. We'll look at an example in a moment. Actually, there's a third apparatus directly below the Discourse Segmentation Apparatus. This is referred to as the cross-reference system. It's pretty much self-explanatory, but refer to Section 6 in the United Bible Society's Greek New Testament for details. We take punctuation almost for granted in modern printing and publishing. For example, we encounter periods, semicolons, colons, question marks, hyphens, spacing between words, breaks for paragraphs, italics, bolding, etc., all used to help clarify the author's meaning. Sometimes there are even pictographic illustrations placed within the text to further clarify the author's intended meaning. However, in the ancient Greek manuscripts for the Greek New Testament, there was very little punctuation, especially when compared to that used in modern printing and publishing. The most obvious lack of punctuation is that the letters all run together without spacing between the words. This is technically known by the Latin phrase scriptio continua. A brief summary of the situation for ancient manuscripts is given on pages 26 and 27 of Metzger's The Text of the New Testament, 2nd edition, and I quote, "The earliest manuscripts have very little punctuation. The Bodmer papyri and Chester Beatty papyri have only an occasional mark of punctuation, as do also the early unsealed manuscripts. A diaeresis is sometimes placed over an initial iota or epsilon. During the 6th and 7th centuries, scribes began to use punctuation marks more liberally, though the sign of interrogation is rarely found before the 9th century." End of quote. A more detailed discussion of this topic may be found in Comfort's Encountering the Manuscripts cited above. There he gives detailed examples of various markings in the Greek papyri. If you want to get an idea of what these early manuscripts look like, you can go to the website for the Center for the Study of New Testament Manuscripts, CSNTM. The executive director of the center is Daniel Wallace, a well-known New Testament scholar. We turn now to a simple example of the information provided in the Discourse Segmentation Apparatus for a particular passage in the UBS Greek New Testament. For this example, we look at the passage from 1 John 1:9 through 1 John 2:5. Notice the tiny raised letter C in verse 10 that precedes and follows the phrase uk imartikamen, translated, we have not sinned. Also, notice the raised tiny letter A in the middle of verse 5, following the Greek word teteliote, and the raised tiny letter B at the end of verse 5. These letters refer to the corresponding letters in the discourse apparatus, as I will show next on the screen. This image shows the textual apparatus, the discourse apparatus, as well as the cross-reference system. We will focus on the discourse segmentation apparatus. In it, you will see the punctuation information for verse 10 of chapter 1, and also the two pieces of punctuation information for verse 5 of chapter 2. Before you can understand the information given in the discourse segmentation apparatus, you must read section 4 of the Introduction to the UBS Greek New Testament. There you will find all the keywords and abbreviations used in the apparatus. Look at verse 10 of chapter 1. The UBS text shows the phrase, we have not sinned, as an indirect quotation. We know this because no comma precedes the Greek word ati, and the word following ati is not capitalized. The discourse apparatus shows that there are two translations denoted by capital B, capital J, and capital T, capital O, capital B that punctuate this phrase as a direct quotation. I believe these are French translations, but I'm not familiar with either. Next, we look at verse 5. The UBS text has a colon after the Greek word teteliote. The discourse segmentation apparatus shows us that several Greek critical texts, such as the Textus Receptus and Westcott Hort, as well as a number of translations, including the Good News Bible, the New Revised Standard Version, and the New International Version, use a period instead of a colon here. Also in verse 5, in the UBS text, we see a period at the end of the verse. The discourse apparatus shows that the Westcott Hort critical text has a colon instead of a period, as does a number of translations, including the Good News Bible, the New International Version, the New Revised Standard Version, and others. This concludes my brief introduction to the punctuation or discourse segmentation apparatus as contained in the UBS Greek New Testament. Before I close, I would like to thank a good friend of mine for providing the following metaphor. Cats are the punctuation marks in our lives. All cat lovers will appreciate this metaphor. Thank you for watching.